A ticking clock on Iran. President Trump sets a deadline for a possible U.S. military strike. Why the next 2 weeks could change everything. Plus, power play in California. A court says Trump was within his rights to take over the National Guard. What that means and why it's not the end of the fight. And ice on deck at Dodger Stadium. Agents spotted, fans confused, and the team's response might have made things worse. The stories that matter, clear and credible. From across the country to around the world. These are your unbiased updates from Straight Arrow News.
I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks."
You heard it there from the White House. We now have a timeline of when President Donald Trump will decide whether the U.S. will join Israel in a potential strike to destroy Iran's nuclear capabilities. 2 weeks. Good morning, I'm Craig DeGrelli. At the heart of the decision, Iran's Fordo uranium enrichment facility. It's buried deep under a mountain, heavily fortified, and believed to be out of reach for all but America's most powerful bunker buster bombs. The White House now saying Iran has never been closer to having a nuclear weapon. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu responded to the Trump administration's announcement, heaping praise on Donald Trump.
President Trump will do what's best for America. I trust his judgment. He's a tremendous friend, a tremendous world leader, a tremendous friend of Israel and the Jewish people. And we will do what we have to do, and we are doing it. We are committed to destroying the nuclear threat, the threat of a nuclear annihilation against Israel. But I have to say that the partnership with the United States, the partnership with President Trump, with whom I speak to almost every day, is incredible.
As Trump weighs a strike, global rivals are seizing the moment. China and Russia are positioning themselves as voices of restraint, calling for a de-escalation and offering to mediate. During a phone call Thursday, Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping condemned Israel's actions, with Xi warning that so-called major powers should cool tensions, not fuel them. All this comes after a deadly escalation Thursday, when Iran launched missiles that hit a hospital in southern Israel and damaged residential buildings near Tel Aviv. At least 240 people were wounded. In response, Israel's defense minister issued a chilling warning, saying Iran's supreme leader, quote, absolutely should not continue to exist. A federal appeals court is siding with President Trump, at least for now, in his legal tug-of-war with California Governor Gavin Newsom over control of the state's National Guard. In a unanimous decision last night, the Ninth Circuit ruled Trump can keep command of Guard troops deployed in Los Angeles, rejecting Newsom's claim that the move was unconstitutional and fueled tensions. Trump federalized the Guard after protests over ICE tactics turned chaotic, citing threats to federal property and officers. A lower court said that was not enough, but the appeals panel, made up of 2 Trump-appointed judges and 1 Biden-appointed judge, disagreed, saying the president has broad authority to act when federal law enforcement is at risk. It's a temporary win for Donald Trump. The fight continues today in district court. Meanwhile, protests against ICE continued in Los Angeles Thursday, with demonstrators blocking the entrance to Dodger Stadium. Dozens of federal agents were spotted near the stadium, and the team claimed it prevented ICE agents from entering. But ICE called that claim false in a post on X, and the Department of Homeland Security backed that up, saying this had nothing to do with the Dodgers. Customs and Border Protection vehicles were in the stadium parking lot very briefly, unrelated to any operation or enforcement. However, DHS did not say why agents were there in the first place. Former President Joe Biden marked Juneteenth in Galveston, Texas, the birthplace of the holiday, with a fiery message about history, unity, and unfinished business, and what sounded like a not-so-subtle jab at his successor. Speaking at the Reed Chapel AME Church, one of the sites where enslaved Texans first learned they were free, Biden warned of what he called ongoing efforts to erase history in a statement that landed with weight, especially given the political backdrop.
Some say to me and to you that this doesn't deserve to be a federal holiday. They don't want to remember, but we all remember the moral stain of slavery. I've often called it America's original sin. Folks, let's remember who we are. We're the United States of America.
Notably, President Trump did not hold any public White House events to mark the day this year, but he did post this on Truth Social. Too many non-working holidays in America. It is costing our country billions of dollars to keep all these businesses closed. It must change if we are going to make America great again. The contrast could not be clearer. Biden, who signed Juneteenth into law as a federal holiday in 2021, called it a day to reflect, to unite, and keep pushing America forward. Hurricane Eric slammed Mexico's Pacific coast Thursday as a powerful Category 3 storm, with winds topping 125 miles an hour. Heavy rain and damaging winds pounded the coastline, hitting tourist hotspots like Acapulco and Puerto Escondido. Officials reported downed trees and power lines, along with landslides in some areas. Eric is expected to dump up to 8 inches of rain in parts of Mexico by the end of the day, raising the risk of flash flooding. The good news, the National Hurricane Center has now downgraded Eric to a tropical storm as we head into the weekend. And how about this? Over in the Atlantic, nothing is brewing right now. For Florida and the Southeast, it's nearing late June, and so far, a quiet hurricane season. Finally, it's winner take all in the NBA Finals come Sunday. For the first time in nearly a decade, the finals are going the distance. There will be a Game 7. The Indiana Pacers came alive in Game 6 last night, beating the Oklahoma City Thunder 108-91 and tying the series at 3 games apiece. It was pretty much an upset. I think a lot of people thought the Thunder would win the title last night. Heading into Game 6, it was not even clear if the Pacers star point guard Tyrese Halliburton would even play after straining his calf in Game 5. That was a big storyline. Well, guess what? He did play, and that gave the Pacers a boost. Halliburton scored 14 points, had 5 assists, and 2 steals. The Pacers actually missed their first 8 shots and quickly fell behind 10-2, but they managed to flip the game with a surge in the second and third quarters. Get this, they led by 30 points. After the third quarter, pretty much had the game in the bag. Thursday marked the Pacers' first double-digit win of the series and the Thunder's second-largest deficit of the season. By the way, Game 7 tips off this Sunday at 7 p.m. Central Time. So the nation will be baking in the heat. Today's the first official day of summer. People are going to be indoors on Sunday. The NBA Finals Game 7. Don't tell anybody. I think the NBA is looking for big ratings. Big ratings. That's the scoop. Those are your unbiased updates for this Friday. We'll see you back here on Monday. For all of us here at Straight Arrow News, I'm Craig DeGrelli. Have a fantastic Friday and a great weekend.